Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. So today what we're talking about here is normality and abnormality, a part of our study design that we're looking at. So what I want you to do very quickly is look through these activities and decide which ones are normal, which ones are abnormal. And if you remember our class discussion, a lot of the things that came out of it was, well, it depends. It depends on the person, it depends on the time, it depends on what you like or what you don't like. So there's lots of things that impact on that. And if you think like that, then you're exactly 100% correct. So we're going to look at today at defining normality and the ways that we define normality, and therefore the ways that we define something that is abnormal. So this kind of behavior, is it normal? Is it abnormal? It's hard to tell, really. Depends on the circumstances. If you're in church or at a mosque, probably abnormal. If you are at a certain club in the city, probably relatively normal. So what are the ways that we know whether something is normal or abnormal? The first way that we look at it is the socio-cultural approach. You can see the definition there. Basically, it's what your society or the culture that you're in decides is appropriate. Perfect example down the bottom is the different approaches to what's appropriate swimwear, okay, or what's appropriate parts of the body to reveal in public. Running around in the nude. Well, unless you're at college or unless you are way back in ancient Greece, this could be decided to be normal or abnormal depending on our period in history. So what is considered to be normal or abnormal depends on the era in which the judgment is made. So for example, the first ever Olympics, everybody competed in the nude. 50 years ago, it was okay to smack children as a form of punishment. 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, it was okay for teachers to hit kids with sticks. The good old days. Anyway, the point is that the time in history can decide whether something is normal or abnormal. These colourful characters, possibly not normal walking down the main street, High Street in Preston, but depending on the right situation, that could be completely normal. For example, those people at Carnival, they're allowed to wear costumes. A couple of weeks ago we had Book Week, perfectly normal to be walking around the quadrangle dressed up as a boat person or a wizard or something, or in a onesie. If you walked into that normal school context expecting to see kids in school uniform, that could be a bit weird. Then we come to the medical approach. Okay? Abnormal thoughts, feelings or behaviours that are viewed as having an underlying biological cause. So the medical approach is more about the biology. This is kind of your mental illness kind of stuff. So hearing voices, constantly believing that you're being watched, those kinds of things, we can say, well, that's a diagnosis of schizophrenia, therefore there are ways that we can treat that. Okay, so that's the medical approach to deciding normality. Also, we have the functional approach, which is also closely tied to the medical approach. This basically says, can you function? If you are normal, if the behavior you're engaging in is normal, then you will be able to function normally. You'll be able to get up, you'll be able to feed yourself, you'll be able to dress yourself, you'll be able to go to work or go to school, come home, have relationships, all of those things. You'll be able to function as a human being. If something is abnormal, then your functionality, your ability to function, can decrease. So for example, if you have depression, sometimes people can't get out of bed for long periods of time. Alright? Then we have the statistical approach. This looks at the majority, a statistical average. If they think or feel or behave something in a certain way, then it's considered to be normal. This is the idea where we get the normal distribution curve when you do your ATAR. Most kids, it is normal to get an ATAR score of 50. That's the average. Okay, so most kids will get between 40 and 60, somewhere in that bracket. Okay, and that's really important for us to remember. That's the statistical approach to normality. So this brings us to this idea. Are these normal or are these abnormal? These students here, all of these students in the background got a score of 99. They're all from the same high school. Is that normal? Well, statistically, it's not normal to get an ATAR score of 99. Statistically, only 1% of people get a 99 or higher. Okay? So that would be abnormal to be one of those people. As we mentioned before, homosexuality historically was perfectly normal. Ancient Greece, it was perfectly acceptable, and that's how you would look at the idea of homosexuality. It's becoming more and more normal these days, so that may change depending on which lens you're looking at homosexuality. Do you look at it from the statistical approach? Do you look at it from the socio-cultural approach? Or do you look at it from the historical approach? These crazy people, abnormal or normal? Well, arguable. But if we looked at it through the situational lens, then it would be completely normal to dress up like a weirdo on Book Week dress up day. Okay? So with all those ideas, the different looks at what makes something normal or abnormal, what is our definition of normal? Well, you can see it there. It's a pattern of thoughts, feelings, or behaviors that conforms to a usual or expected standard. The idea of norms. Okay? And these usual standards are influenced by the approaches that we talked about earlier. So then what makes something abnormal? Well, again, it's a working definition. It's hard to really say what makes something abnormal. It depends on where you are. But generally, it is the pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are deviant, distressing, and dysfunctional. It's important that we understand the 3 Ds there. Deviant means it differs largely from the norms. Okay? So it's not relatively normal behavior. It moves away from that. It's distressing. Means that it upsets the person or it upsets others. And finally, it is dysfunctional and it impairs with the usual functioning or usual activities of a human being. Okay? Down the bottom there, you can see Ted Bundy, a very infamous serial killer in America. And he fit this criteria perfectly. So that is the definition of normality and abnormality. Important to get your head around those ideas when we go through normality. We're looking at the influence of stress and we're looking at the influence of mental health and mental illness. Okay? But that's it. Thank you very much and keep studying.